Hi all, I have another fun game from the Chess.com Computer Championship, Leela ID 11089, playing against Laser 1.6 in the Rapid Rumble, 15 minutes with a 5-second increment, stage 1. Let's have a look. Leela playing white, d4, we have knight f6, c4, e6, knight f3, and now d5, so no Queen's Indian territory here, this is more Queen's Gambit decline territory now. Knight c3, knight b d7. Leela plays c takes d5, e takes bishop g5. We have now c6, e3, h6, bishop h4, bishop e7, and this reminds me of Capablanca's freeing maneuver. It might actually be in this position. So the bishops are exchanged off here. It kind of frees black's position a little bit. However, when these bishops are exchanged off, the outpost squares are kind of emphasized a little bit more, c5 and e5. So can Leela do anything with the dart square outposts potential in this position? She does take on e7, queen takes, queen c2, and now knight df6, so reinforcing that e4 square. So at the moment it seems a very solid position for black, essentially controlling that e4 and occupying e4. a4. This is a very interesting lockdown plan from Leela. If the pawn can be established on a5, it can mark some dart squares, help mark out b6. We have black casting a5, and there's a potential threat of a6. And herein lies a problem. Because the dart square bishop has been exchanged off, any a6, then maybe not just b6, but c5 will be a bit more vulnerable, because there'll be no kicking it with b6. So the whole point of a5 to basically create a more happy knight on c5 potentially. So bishop f5, white castles, a6 is played. So is there going to be a happy knight on the c5 outpost? On the e5 outpost, when the black knight moves, there's always f6 to consider. But white, Leela does use the e5 post for a moment, and now knight a4 going for the c5 post. Knight d6, offering exchange of bishops. Leela does that. That drags the knight away for the moment from the center e4 control. Now knight c5. So the knights have reached good, it seems impressive, dart square destinations. Knight f6, b4, so reinforcing the c5 knight. But note here that b5 is a pretty good place for a knight. It can't be touched on b5 because these pawns have just gone past. Well, there's nothing to kick with either a4 or c4 basically. So a knight on b5 could be useful for black in a technical sense. Here rook f e8, f3, knight h7, so makes way for potential for f6, which would indirectly hit e3. So e3 is protected in advance of that. Just in case you want to check that out concretely, here, okay, there's knight g4, but after that, there's no real gambit here, so this is to be avoided. So we have rook a e1, knight b5. So yeah, the knight can't be kicked from b5. These were saying, ha ha, I've got a knight on b5 too. But the c5 knight is a little bit more impressive visually. It's more aggressively entrenched than the b5 knight, and it's both. You know, both of them can't be kicked away that easily. We have, just in case you're wondering about this one now, f6, knight g6. This seems okay just to go back to f4 here. So black didn't bother. Knight b5. And now, though, interesting move, g4. So Leela is playing aggressively now on the king side. And it makes a parking space available for the queen on g2 here to come to g2. Knight f8, queen g2, and now there's potential for support for f4 and g5. So this is getting to be a little bit on the adventurous side now. Knight e6, knight goes back, keeping some tension there. Let's see what happens if f4, then maybe taking, and then f6. And here actually knight a3 is possible to just lock into that c4 position potentially. I think black should be okay here. So we actually see the knight coming back, not wanting an exchange there. Rook a b8. The knight is nicely placed actually. It's holding b4 there in any case. f4, knight d6, which does make contact with an important central square now. King h1. If we look at this position, the forcing f5, that would give g5, another knight being a nuisance here and contacting the central square. This kind of scenario is actually okay for black. It's going to be okay, or even a small edge for black. There's no point doing this. That would be a bit giving into provocation. So we have king h1 holding on to potential pawn moves f5 and g5. Rook bc8, rook f3, an interesting rook switch. And in fact, after rook c7, we see one of the points of this rook f3 revealed here. So Leela does naturally seem to play with pieces behind pawns, and you can see that, well, this next move is very aggressive and interesting. And in fact, my Stockfish 9 locally actually likes this move quite a bit as well. Can you see what white plays here if I give you 5 seconds to pause the video? Okay. It's h4. Yeah, aggressive. The knight's actually holding e1. The queen does take on h4. Check. It's not winning a rook because the knight's holding. Rook h3. Now, before we go on from there, could black have not taken this pawn? Because you might think, well, it's a bit dangerous, isn't it, intuitively? If black doesn't take the pawn and uses the central square, then g5 is supported by the h4. And if this happens, this is scary anyway, because the rook's ready to come to f3 for rook h8, checkmate. The king could try and make an exit, but this stops the exit in its tracks, this move. Because if king e7, then the rook's not protecting f7, bang. So this sequence, say with this, is going to be in white's favour. If white eventually is winning a pawn like that, it's in white's favour. If we look at f6 here, then it's even worse. Check. And actually, after check, there's actually a nice checkmate. This one comes for a checkmate. The knight's controlling e7. So there's some dangers lurking round the corner here after h4, even if it's not taken. But it was. Rook h3, queen goes back, and now g5. This looks visually scary for black. But is it concretely? Can it actually be concretely proven that this leads to a big advantage? hg is played. On f6 here, g takes, this knight g4. Now, if queen here, then there's knight takes h6 check, winning the queen. So pretty dangerous position for black. And in fact, even if here knight takes h6 check is looking good, because the queen's hanging there off the g takes. So this variation with f6, let's just follow it. After f6, g takes, knight g4, queen goes back. This position is very nice for white anyway. This kind of variation is very, very nice. The attack's crashing through basically. So yeah, the knight, this f6 is no good. So we have hg, queen h2, threatening immediate rook h8 checkmate. So the king makes a run for it. Knight c5 now. So Leela has sacked at the moment 2 pawns. But it's very, very strong looking compensation. King is making a run for it again. If rook c8, it turns out here rook f1, the quiet rook f1 is really good against the f file. So yeah, this is just really uncomfortable for black, this scenario. So we have actually king e7, rook g1, rook g8, regaining one of the pawns. Now getting a kind of fawn pawn on g6. It's left kind of fawn on g6 now. So, and in fact, the knight doesn't move. We have rook g4 because it looks very, very scary at least, and it is actually concretely good for white. If takes, this didn't happen, then yeah, these, especially e6 and d6, they're just hanging. If the king moves, then we just take on d6, bang, end of game. This is too much, I believe. And if knight c4, then taking here, this is just very, very nice for white, this position. Big advantage. So the knight has to be left there. It's immune. Queen c8, rook h5, rook e8, king g1, rook g2. Now knight f7. knight takes, b takes. Look at that d6 square, and the queen's actually quite interestingly placed on this diagonal. Very interesting looking position. Queen e6, queen f4 protecting the e3 pawn, among other things. Rook g h2, queen e4. Now, if this isn't played, I think white has at least rook h7 and knight h6 to look forward to here, with the king on that second row, second rank. For example, I'll give you an example. Rook cc8, rook h7 with the threat of knight h6 sometimes. So here, knight h6, and you can see that you know, the pinned pawn, we're going to be winning g7. So this is, if white's just given those moves, then that's dangerous. And here, if king e7, yeah, knight h6. If king e8, knight. If king e8, then not knight h6, because that can be taken. It's only enough for equality there. But here, there's an alternative way to play it, because the rooks are disconnected here. This is just a really nice position to play, to build and fight. Now, until this point, in fact, there is a point here with just a little bit of preparation where even this does work if it's winning the b7 pawn. So even a knight down here, this is really, really promising territory for white with that very advanced pawn picking up pawns. And black just crumbles here in the variations. Yeah, black would just be crumbling. So this is very, very scary if queen e4 isn't played. So it was played, takes here, and so this is a further compromise to black's position. Let's count pawns again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So at the moment, black is a pawn up. But whose pawns are weaker? We have now rook b8. If trying to protect the pawn like this, the e pawn from the glare of the rook, then here again is pretty good. For example, like this. Yeah. And this is just a massive advantage. White absolutely winning there with g7. So it is scary. So one pawn's given back, so we're equal on pawns now. But white seems to be more entrenched than black, more aggressively entrenched. Knight d6, rook h8. Now the h file is supported there as priority. Knight f5, back to torturing g7. We have knight e6, rook h1, rook h8, king f3, knight d6, king g4. Rook tying down to b7, black now, entrenching on b6. And here, actually, the pawn was given up. It seems black's in a kind of potential zugzwang here. There's also, if the knight interrupts the rook, say that this, then there looks to be like things like knight e8 check even to win g7. So this looks a little bit on the edge of zugzwang. It might actually be zugzwang here. If the knight goes back, then king f5, and again it looks as though this is a very difficult, painful position with the king potentially infiltrating now as well. It looks too much. So black decided to give up b7 basically, and that weakens of course a6 and c6. We have check, shedding pawns now. It's actually very lost for black. Black now, just a few moments later than before, is pawns down, 3 pawns down. It's pretty hopeless now. It is actually pretty hopeless. 4 pawns down. All the pawns are dropping. So 5 pawns down now, obviously. And amusingly, and people ascribe this little bit of amusement, there's some speculation on the Leela chess forums, why this pawn was given away here for not playing rook f8, which would be the logical choice, right? It might have to do with... also, it was underplaying to a rook. It might have to do with the Monte Carlo tree search, which doesn't require the most accurate moves like a normal alpha beta pruning tree search, which will be based on exact numerical values, you know, plus 7.5 versus, you know, plus 6 point something. No, Leela just sees statistical wins. So in fact, she won't play the clinical moves all the time now in a totally winning position. And this is exposed more in this competition with the play to death rather than, you know, plus 6.5 or whatever for both engines. So Leela actually doesn't play that. She plays king b5, a bit trolly. Yeah, and slow torture, yeah. Just pushing these pawns. Leela obviously wants to get 3 pawns on the 7th rank just to torture her opponent, give the opponent nightmares. And not even moving not even playing c8 or d8 here. Yeah, okay, it's a little bit trolling. Finally under promoting a rook, getting a queen actually now, and yeah, bypassing even taking the rook now until here. This wasn't even a stalemate or anything. It looks as though this king takes e4. But it's a win is a win, and we know that from our human chess. And often we'll play just practical moves in human over the board chess because we know, you know, we don't have to spend too much time finding the most clinical move. So Leela's got those traits in this tournament, in these winning positions. Quite amusing. Anyway, checkmate here. There are some interesting differences of the Monte Carlo tree search, let alone the neural network component of Leela, which makes the games kind of amusing. Leela's totally ideal, basically, for YouTube. She'll do under promotions. She won't do clinical winning moves. So you guys can still raise questions. Why didn't Leela play the more accurate rook f8? And you're right. But the answer, I think, might be in the Monte Carlo tree search. It just doesn't care. If it's winning, it's winning. Okay. Comments, questions, likes, shares appreciated. Thanks so much.